Welcome back to my channel. So we have this white guy telling black people that they don't deserve reparations for slavery because they did not suffer slavery. So let's get into this short clip. Then I'll play the stitch because it has only one stitch, and a few videos that were randomly suggested to me under the same topic of does black people deserve reparations. And I'll leave my own my own thoughts at the end of the video. But please be advised that this video is for educational purposes only. I'm not here to bully anyone or make any person feel any less. With all that being said, guys, let's get into the videos.
You don't deserve reparations for slavery because you never suffered slavery.
A few moments later.
Points. One, you should be in favor of reparations, and I'll tell you why. But first, I totally understand why you're not in favor of reparations. You're a poor white man who has failed to achieve any meaningful financial success despite living in a country that was quite literally built for you. So of course you don't believe in white privilege because you failed to capitalize on yours. But there's this great quote, rising tides lift all boats. So if you stand side by side and help the descendants of slaves receive reparations, they will stand by you in your fight for pay equity, unionization, and political representation. And you should want black people on your side because they have more social and cultural capital than any other marginalized group in this country, than any other group, period. In addition to all of that, there's already a precedent for reparations in this country. The former owners of slaves received reparations from the government for their lost property. So when you say don't deserve, it just leads me to believe that you don't know your history.
How do I feel about reparations for Black Americans? I feel that if the government isn't going to settle its debt, there is no hope for this country. Until we reconcile the balance sheet for all the stolen lives, stolen labor, and the fact that this country got to skip all of the growth years to become an economic superpower on the backs of enslaved Black Americans, until we honor the treaties in the sacred land of the indigenous and hold true to the word that we gave, a treaty which is supposed to supersede even the Constitution, there's no hope for unity. America loves to pride itself on this idea that it's a country that keeps its word. Its handshake is as good as its signature on a contract, but our signature on a contract is no good. And until we deal with those things, we will just be stuck microscopically moving the needle towards equity, but we can never get there until those things are done.
All right, so I've got a question for everybody that keeps wanting reparations. So at the time of the slave trade, right, different African kingdoms had all types of slaves. By the way, these slaves were black. And these different kingdoms would go to war, and then the prisoners of war they would take and make them slaves. In addition to that, other kingdoms would purposely go to war in some situations to capture slaves and sell them. So in a lot of cases, the slaves that were actually sold were captured by other black kingdoms, tribes, whatever you want to call it. So what is the reason you guys are not up in outrage and messaging African governments and countries asking for reparations from them? Because they're just as big a perpetrators as the people in the US. African tribes and kingdoms had slaves. They had them, they sold them, they went and conquered other tribes and captured those people and sold them as slaves as well. Why do we only want to see reparations from the US? I wouldn't say that's fair. Now in reality, we just need to let it go. Because everybody that committed those atrocities at that time, they're all dead. Everybody alive today had literally nothing to do with it. So the best thing to do is just move on and let it go. But since so many of you don't want to let it go, help me understand why you don't want reparations from African countries and we only want to focus on the racist white people in the US.
How do you feel about reparations for black people?
Oh my God, it's the first step. It's like a very low bar, I feel like, at this point.
The whole, 40 acres and a mule that then weren't actually ever given, and there was no compensation to any equivalent towards that.
Do I support reparations? Yes.
Yes.
What those reparations look like is of real interest to me.
So I do think there should be something done. I'm not the person to say what that thing is.
Do you know that there is actually a bill before Congress that deals with reparations?
Oh, really? Right now?
Yeah, it's called HR 40.
No, I had no idea.
Can you tell us something about the bill that's on the floor now?
It's called HR 40. The 40 standing for 40 acres and a mule that were promised to former enslaved people. It would be to set up a federal reparations commission that would study the legacy of enslavement and the ongoing harms that happen today and come up with proposals for reparations. How would you feel if you knew that that bill has a record number of votes in the House, but Congress won't bring it to the floor for a House vote, though?
Why not? Maybe they're listening. They may not be hearing us.
Unsurprised that it hasn't come to the floor.
I would almost expect it. It would be really disappointing, though.
It could also come to fruition through executive order, through if Joe Biden were to use his executive authority to set up a reparations commission himself. Is that something that you would support?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I think sometimes the president should exercise that right when he feels like there's an injustice and that's something that he can correct.
He was elected into office by the majority of the population, so he has the right to, and that's what I think the public, our society, would expect.
Already has enough votes. Like, we're so
Yeah,
it's
it's like we're
that
getting close.
It's like almost like teasing a rabbit with a carrot, where you're like, you're at the finish line, but it's just they never reach it. You know what I'm saying?
You just said that. Do you think that historical catastrophes must be compensated for?
No.
No.
That's stupid.
So then, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing.
Yeah.
So then, how come there were groups of people that got compensation then?
How come?
For instance, like Jewish people, Chinese people, Japanese people with the bombs. Like there were groups of people who got compensated.
I don't know.
So it wasn't fair.
What? Well, I'm talking about like when I think about group, I think about reparations. So I mean, maybe if the people were still alive today, like I don't know, maybe. But like when you said historical, I thought you meant like at the past, not the present.
Yeah, so like in the past, so like people talk about slavery. So in the past, you know, the Holocaust happened. In the past, you know, the Japanese, but people got compensated for it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And this thing, see, one of the things I think it's a double-edged sword with a lot of black people actually, because you can double-edge between victimhood and not, and it's like give us our money. It's like, first of all, I don't think reparations is viable. First of all, I don't think any country is going to cripple their economy for a bunch of people. I just don't believe that it's going to happen. However, do I think, given the there's a book, right, called How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. And when you read that book, you realize that the whole industrial revolution and stuff like that was started because of the colonization. And you just think, well, if you didn't do that, then you wouldn't be as successful.
So what do you mean by the colonization?
So the colonization of Africa, so both the people and the resources, right? There's a direct correlation between the colonization of Africa and the Industrial Revolution.
Okay.
And so with all the metals and the rubber and all this kind of stuff coming from Africa, it fueled the Industrial Revolution of the West.
Wait, so you're saying like in Africa, when you say colonize, you're saying like did England come in and colonize?
Yeah, like so European, France, Spain, Portugal, England.
And they like enslaved Africans, and that's what you're saying. Okay.
So they enslaved and at least colonized the continent.
Okay.
So when you colonize a continent and then you take ownership of the resources, you're able to gather those resources together and use them to your own benefit.
Right.
And so you gather those resources, use them to your own benefit and build up your economy, all the while messing up the economy of that actual country.
Right.
Reparations is probably the funniest topic to me. Black people are not getting reparations. And if they do, it's going to fuck up everything. I wholeheartedly believe that not a single dollar should be paid to black people from white people for something that didn't even have anything to do with them as of right now. Why? Because those white folks don't owe you shit. If you're broke, get a job. If you're down on your luck, oh well, because there ain't no damn handouts. And how would that look if the black folks got reparations and the natives didn't? Plus, if it goes off of slavery, then what about all the other races that went through it? Oh, y'all wouldn't want to talk about that. Y'all don't think that there were other slaves? There were white slaves, Hispanic slaves, even Asian slaves. Emphasis on the white because there was quite a few in different regions. But if you ask me, reparations do not need to be paid to black folks. All they're going to do is buy up all kinds of fuck shit. And then all that money, where the fuck are they supposed to pull that money out of? So if any of y'all assume that I'm down for reparations, fuck no. Because the stimulus checks already made the economy bad. I can only imagine what's going to happen if they give black people millions of dollars for no reason at all.
Yeah, so quick one just to add on this, according to my own little research, because I think a lot of people think that reparation is supposed to be like an apology, which stems from a very Western idea of crime and punishment, which is like, oh, I did something wrong here now, I'm gonna pay for it. That's not what reparations is. Reparation is a form of restorative justice. It's not so much focused on the past as it is the future. And until the United States can take accountability for the stolen wealth that it has built its empire upon, Black people can never fully progress. The necessary first step must be done, which is reparations. That would be the first step to, healing the wounds that was caused to their ancestors through slavery. If not, we are constantly going to be coming back to systemic racism and ultimately to slavery. So that's what I had for you guys in today's video. I stand to be corrected. Please let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Turn on your notification bell so that every time I upload such videos, you'll be notified. I will definitely see you in my next video. Peace.